saw this trailer, I quite literally shut on me. I yelled, I got so happy, started looking for Ninja Gaiden 2 in my PC Game Pass, and I began playing Ninja Gaiden again. I proceeded to do my research on the new 4th installment that we are going to get in here. And it's just a good time to be alive, but you know, it's something that we are sometimes too grim in here in this channel. As the hype was coming down on me, I began having this feeling, I do not know, that worrisome feeling, dude, like something's off, you know, like it's too good to be true. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, and I'm not going to lie, I am somewhat, it is somewhat of a polemic discussion, but I would love to have your input on this regard, so your comments about this are very, very appreciated. To a lot of people, Ninja Gaiden was an inspiration or a pioneer when it comes to the challenge on a video game. Therefore, many consider it to be the precursor or even the father of Souls games. However, far from that. Ninja Gaiden was built on the mindset of the original Ninja Gaiden arcade games. They were designed specifically with the purpose of being hard and unfair, so that you would have to be spending more credits on the arcade machine. That mindset, to some extent, carried over to the first Ninja Gaiden. As a matter of fact, here's a little interview about that. The level of difficulty was described in one memorable review I read, Edge magazines, as a design flaw and not a badge of hardcore honor, because it limits what weaker players can get out of the game. How would you react to that? The creator of the game, he said it was done intentionally, of course. The testers who tested this game went nuts. At first it was easier, but when the testers said that this is too difficult, I made it even more difficult, and everyone laughs, end of the quotation in here. However, yes, it was a difficult game, like just for the sake of it. Kind of different than the challenge of Souls games offer, where you are rewarded because of your mindful playstyle. So in that regard, yes, it was very unfair and difficult game just for the sake of wearing it like a badge of honor at that time. Nevertheless, at that time we were relatively new to gaming, and it was an arcade that these games were born and had that mindset. And you know, now that I am playing them at the moment, I realize that Ninja Gaiden games, just because of I realize that they are really not that hard, at least not for someone that already has the mindset of a proper inputs, managing combos, knowing when to dodge and when are the iframes on my favor. I know when I'm going to get punished because there's no cancel attack animation, and you have to commit to that action whenever you know that you know the patterns of that boss. And yes, you do need to react to them to some extent, but they're also there, and you start to acknowledge them whenever they kill you and you try again. You start realizing that you have windows of opportunity of certain specific attacks, and there's windows of opportunity that are not that present, but you need to figure out for yourself, and that when you commit to that action on combo that you are just making, you have to be sure that you need to be leveraging the amount of windows of opportunity that you have for you to be able to do so. Like, when you know those mechanics, that's because Souls-likes have already trained us to have that kind of mindset and playstyle. And that, to some extent, is what worries me. Ninja Gaiden's Team Ninja is not making Ninja Gaiden 4. They moved on to Neo and their other similar projects. You could say that Neo is the perfect blend between Ninja Gaiden foundations and the Souls-like combat system. They even use every single weapon that you have available in Ninja Gaiden 2 on the Neo games, and they have like their animations, and you get familiar with those weapons and you start marrying with those weapons and learning how to use them. But Ninja Gaiden enemies are more deliberate, fearful and fast, and they require for you to react more. Neo adopts a gameplay blend between that and the utilization of combos, while you also memorize enemy boss and patterns. In many cases, it's a blend of both, or leaning into one or the other, being more reactive with NPC boss encounters and more memorizing patterns with the biggest monsters that they are more slow, and you do need to realize when do you have to use those windows of opportunity and also the iframes for dodging. That said, I think that's what I love about Ninja Gaiden. Not that I'm an addict to difficulty, I can very well enjoy much more casual games, but I'd also like to say that the challenge is something of a staple when you come to expect whenever you know you're getting to play that specific something, and that specific something is Ninja Gaiden. So in Ninja Gaiden 4, it is being developed by Platinum Games mostly, and yes, one aspect that I'm positive about that is that they are masters, quite literally masters of hack and slash games. Nier Automata is top tier action game, everyone knows the work with Bayonetta, they made Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, which is the only game that I know. It's made as a different game from established, beloved and hardcore franchise that is not hated on for shying away from the original genre, which is stealth and narrative, because it's just a really good game. However, I know I am going to get a little bit of hate in here because this is prone to be misinterpreted, so I'll be as clear as my null intelligence allows me to while being as blunt on the given point that I am trying to convey to you. Those are action smashy games, and let me hold you there for a second before you write that comment that you haven't played that game. I am not saying that they lack depth, that they are not complicated, that there's not little intricacies that you can have in the combos to master those games, that they cannot be difficult on their own accord, because learning those combos, mastering the combos, jiggling the enemy, sustaining the combos, not allowing the enemy to interrupt you mid that combo, that's very difficult, and those are complicated, complex games, and that is all present in those games, and yes, they are fun. But you have to be willing to master that content available to you, and you have to concede to it or not. Because if you decide to ignore that, those games, they are just games that you can definitely and most certainly mash buttons away to victory while you connect combos and see things on screen that you do not even know that you were able to do, or how are you doing them, because you are just mashing buttons away, and you can very much play the games like that if you want to. Not that it's the only way of playing those games. Ninja Gaiden, on the other hand, like I mentioned again, enemies are brutal and deadly, and it requires focus, concentration, and committing to your attacks and combos. If you screw up, you're likely going to get your ass handed to you, and you're going to lose a third chunk of your health bar because of that mistake that you made. But it's also that kind of game that allows you to overcome frustration and have that badge of honor, because you manage to overcome that frustration once you manage to learn how to play that specific encounter that is giving you issues. Here, I'll be honest, I think that I'm seeing much more Platinum games than Ninja Gaiden on itself in here, and I'm afraid of that because I like Platinum games for what they are, but I also like Ninja Gaiden games for what they are as well, as a separate entities, individual little things that we all love in here. These little sections where you can see bubble beams on the fight, yeah, that's a very it requires navigation, but they are too lenient when you can actually see them. Ninja Gaiden relies a little bit more of the lightning fast decision making for avoiding damage and committing to a skill or attack, or not doing such a thing. There's also, finally, there's also the fact of the new protagonist, which is always tricky as well. Like, either people loves this or hates this, because this is a franchise that has already been established under the signature throughout the course of almost 2 decades now under the name of one single beloved character, and that's Ryu Hayabusa. And here is where my fanboy is going to come into scene, and here I am going to be as blunt as I can possibly be, because I love this character. I grew up with Ryu Hayabusa. I remember so many difficulties that I had with those games. I just love them, but also I love the character. And we are not far away from the truth when we say that Ryu Hayabusa is the perfect depiction of a modern ninja on gaming. There's like, I cannot think, as of right now, there's many of them. There's many ninjas in the video game media, specifically on the video game media, but there's not a single ninja that you would recognize more than that of Ryu's Hayabusa. And let me tell you, this is the chance of Platinum Games of adding their new flavor to the game, this new breath of fresh air. But also, I can tell you that if they do poorly on my boy, because that's something that happens very often as well when they're trying to introduce and present their own staple to this new franchise that they are being handed over. They want to present to you this new character, and sometimes not even giving them more protagonism, but also stomping a little bit on the older character under the banner of saying like, hey, here's the new thing, forget about the old one. So they better do justice to my boy Ryu Hayabusa in here and not trying to diminish him because of the new character that they are presenting here to us. I am very, very much excited about this game, but I am also concerned. I like to stay positive. But yeah, I think that we should have our expectations in here a little bit more on the lenient side. Anyways, if you like the content, so like and super appreciate it. And also you today, you gorgeous and beautiful person. You're into the gorgeous and beautiful, beautiful person. Subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.